Hello,
I'm Nicole Capiello,
and I'm Nina Macagnoni. And tonight on 60 Minutes,
we're going to be learning about a global financial services firm.
one of the big four?
Yeah, business and investment banking, equity and fixed income sales and trading. Also in research, investment management, private equity, and private banking.
They lasted 158 years, founded in 1850 and went till 2008. What made them collapse?
What went wrong?
I guess we'll find out tonight on 60 Minutes. Tick, 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 tick.
So let's take us back a bit
To the company background, where the Lehman brothers, a global financial services firm, Henry Emanuel Mayer, started off as cotton brokers in Alabama.
Cotton was a booming industry back in southern Alabama. It was the most valuable merchandise. But the next step was to become business traders, and that's where they moved their company up to New York City.
Without Henry, he died early on with yellow fever.
But that didn't stop them because the company turned into an American investment bank.
Until they started to manipulate their balance sheets, and that's when the scandal started.
So what went wrong? Let's find out.
How did it all collapse? So now that we know how the accounting scandal started,
With them manipulating their balance sheets, this led into, in 2008, they had to file for bankruptcy, Chapter 11.
the largest bankruptcy filing.
This was because they were involved with the U.S. subprime mortgage-induced financial crisis.
They filed with 639 billion in assets and 619 billion in debt.
Large companies like Bear Stearns backed their mortgages, but when this all occurred, it made their stocks drop by 48%.
Hedge fund managers then began to question the valuation of Lehman's mortgage portfolio.
Even their partners, such as American Express, pulled out of Lehman's company because they earned $6 billion on their own.
From other investors.
Yeah.
That summer, they continued to lose potential partners and investors.
But then in September 2008, their stock plunged 77%. So it was just all getting progressively worse.
Within the accounting scandal, there were many players involved, including the bigger names in business.
Such as Richard Folds, the CEO of Lehman Brothers. He caused the loss of 2,100 jobs within the company.
The two brothers, the owners of the company, were also involved.
Such also as their international partners, such as in Japan, Taiwan, India, Hong Kong, and other sites in Europe and places. But what they did was more important.
They would repo customers within the international countries, and that's how the scandal started.
They were taking in so much money from these customers, and they had to hide it somewhere because they were earning so much. And they hid their money in companies such as one of their alter ego companies, which was Hudson Castle.
Banks such as JP Morgan and Chase, Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, and American Express, these banks had a role in the scandal because they were involved in the repurchasing of people's money into risky hedge funds.
Yes, so also, even though all these, such as the CEO and their international partners, their employees had no role in the scandal.
What led them to get caught?
Well, they started to manipulate their balance sheets and their financial statements, and it started to look a little conspicuous. Also, not even that, their repos that they were doing out in foreign countries were making so much money that people started to become suspicious about how much was going into these repos, such as Repo 105. So what started was they started to look into these, a closer look.
Started to investigate.
Yes.
The bank auditors, Ernst & Young, were substantially assisting in massive financial fraud by approving this accounting treatment.
So not only they were also involved too, the bank auditors who were supposed to be there to check their work to make sure it was correct.
There were a lot of people harmed in the scandal.
Yeah. 26,000 people lost their jobs from this whole collapse. So because this was such a large financial scandal, the SEC got involved to help companies no longer manipulate their stocks just as Lehman Brothers did. And not only that, Sarbanes-Oxley Act, also known as SOX, was created to help also prevent investors from losing giant amounts of money, such as many people did from manipulating their balance sheets and financial statements.
Like the Lehman Brothers, they violated all these terms, and in the long run, it ended up getting them in a lot of trouble. There were many penalties due to the violations that the Lehman Brothers committed. They had to liquidate the company and repay their counterparties, even though the accounts that they had to be paid had massive debt. There were many arrests and convictions made to figure out who was involved. The Lehman Brothers company suffered a tragic demise. So everyone got hurt in this situation, all the stakeholders. The entire economy has suffered from the fall of the Lehman Brothers.
millions of investors lost almost all of their money, triggering a chain reaction that produced the worst financial crisis and economic downturn in 70 years.
70 years.
Yeah.
Wow. So, since the financial statements were all fudged and inaccurate, during the investigation it was very hard to find out what really happened. The SEC and other investigators had a very hard time. But eventually they were able to figure out what happened under the lines.
And the company crumbled and collapsed and did not come back up and to go back into business again. So thank you for tuning in on our 60-minute segment.
Hello.
I'm Nicole K.
Oh my god.
Wow!
Oh my god.
Ready? Hello.
Hello.
I'm Nicole Capiello.
And I'm Nina McNooney.
And tonight...
Did you just yell me?
And that's how our acting class is taking us so far. What do you think?
We're pretty bad.
I say we're amazing. Now, let's start learning about a global financial firm.
What's your name?